am grateful for the time, space, energy that you have given to be with me, and I say thank you. Today, I want to talk about a word that really stood out to me when I was reflecting on what to share today, and the word is a 3-letter word, which I happen to have an affinity for 3-letter words. A few of my favorites are yes, let, and today the word is and. Am I making space for and? Am I welcoming and? And I want you to consider doing that, to know that we are beyond boundaries and boxes, and we are beyond limitation and old, stale definitions of ourselves, that there is space to enjoy the and. So I was thinking about a time in my life where I had just lived a really embarrassing, heartbreaking, humiliating experience. And I felt so raw and so fragile. And so something in me wanted to protect myself. I wanted to have a barrier, and I could feel the temptation of wanting to say the words, I will never put myself in this situation again. I will never be treated like this again. I will never, all these I will never. I was so tempted with that. And yet there was a thread, even back in my 20s, that I felt a thread saying to me, ask and make space for gentleness. That you feel the temptation of what you can become if you let bitterness and hardness encapsulate my heart. And so my prayer, my intention, my desire was to be soft and gentle. And to know that I had indeed scars from a very painful experience. And today, as I look around and read and see the chaos, the violence, the turmoil that exists around us, I also know that there is tremendous kindness. There is tremendous showing of resiliency and hope. That there are people who are going out of their ways to be loving and open. There are demonstrations of how connected we all are, and how in the midst of dark experiences, light can always penetrate through. And so I want you to think about an experience or a place in your life where perhaps there's room for an and. Maybe it's in your relationship, where we can make space to say, I am loving and vulnerable. We can make space to say, I am strong and trusting. Perhaps we can say to ourselves, I am hurting and I am confident that I am coming out of the other side of this experience with more wisdom, with more inner strength, with more wisdom of knowing my own fragility and knowing my own power and humility. And so as people, we are so multi-layered, like tiramisu. We are kaleidoscopic in who we are, that we are beyond all of these old, stale definitions that we have been given and that have been passed on. And so whatever it is that is in our own heart that we desire to experience, there's an and that will allow that experience to come to us when we're open. And so I think it's really important for us to be careful, and I've spoken about this before, of thinking that I am a label or on a side, but to know that we are so interconnected as one, and with all of the layers, and like a kaleidoscope, constantly changing and learning and growing, expanding, discovering more, that we are not the same person we were a minute ago, that our cells are even changing, that who we are today is not who we were days before, years before, and it's not who we will be tomorrow. And so to make space for that, we use the word and. That I am a composite of and. I am not one-dimensional. I am many dimensions, and I have many feelings and thoughts and opinions and ideas, and I know myself to be constantly growing. So I want you to make space for and, that there are many sides to a story, and what looks like pain and what looks like despair is also victory and triumph. It is also solace. It is tranquility. And from the outside, it can look like that is dead and old and stale, and it can instead be revitalized and replenished. And so I hope that you contemplate and think about where you can embrace and to embrace that people, just as yourselves, are different and growing and cannot be lumped as one characteristic, that we would listen with our hearts and make space for and. Thank you so much for being here, and I hope that you have a radiant and splendid rest of your day. Thank you.